Eastern European Jews. We come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. My paternal grandmother came from Austria. My paternal grandfather was Hungarian. My maternal grandmother was Polish, and my maternal grandfather was sort of Ukrainian, sort of Polish, depending on where the borders were on a particular day. I'm one of 4 children. I have an older brother and 2 younger sisters. We're all 2.5 years apart. We fight like we're 2.5 years apart, but I don't know what I would do without them. We moved around a ton as kids every few years, and so we were really a pack. It was Erev Yom Kippur, so I called Karen in New York, mostly to ask her if my son could open the package of Pokemon cards she had sent before she actually got here. And she said, crying, "I think I might have cancer." The family WhatsApp blew up, and I think we were just all in shock. Karen, at the time, was 24 weeks pregnant with her first child. She was 36 years old. The idea that she had cancer was just so foreign. It sounded made up. And then everybody kind of fell apart for a little while, you know? None of us knew what to do with ourselves. And we just sort of started this new phase of our lives with cancer in a way that I don't think any of us had ever anticipated. One of the trickiest things about all of this cancer stuff was figuring out treatment for a pregnant person. She was 24 weeks pregnant. This was a much, much desired baby. There was no thought of anything other than how are we going to keep this baby safe while also keeping Karen safe. They decided that she would undergo chemo while pregnant, which is like mind-blowing because, you know, you avoid sushi and then they're pumping your body full of poison. The goal was to get that baby to 36 weeks. And then if they could get the baby to 36 weeks, then he or she would be born healthy and well enough to avoid time in the NICU, and then they could go to whatever more aggressive form of treatment they thought they needed. Lior was born in January of last year. Lior means my light, which is a perfect name for him. He's just the cutest. He was born and it was confusing. Was this a celebration? Was it not a celebration? Was he gonna be okay? Was Karen gonna be okay? Were we all gonna be okay? You know, we were all having genetic testing done at that time and trying to figure out where we all were at with our families. None of us really knew about BRCA. I mean, we're all relatively well educated. We move in Jewish circles. We all have synagogue memberships, some of us more than one. And none of us really knew about hereditary cancer. We had all been tested for the various Ashkenazi panels when thinking about starting our families. We all got Tay-Sachs tested in high school. Like, we weren't approaching this from a point of not wanting to know. We all wanted as much information as possible. We just didn't know that this information was out there or relevant to us. And I think a lot about that. I think about how if, you know, when at whatever point in life somebody had said, oh, you can spit in this vial and we'll test it and tell you if you have this gene that might put you in danger of having cancer, there's not a chance any of us wouldn't have done it. And then we wouldn't be in this situation. It feels impossible that nobody said to us over the course of these 40-ish years of Jewish communal life, hey, you might want to test for this thing. And the one thing that I really want, the only good that I feel like I can bring out of this, is saying to people, like, you should know, shouting from rooftops, you should know, you should go get tested. And I know that, like, it's hard to have information sometimes. But the alternative to not having this information, I don't want anybody to ever live through what my family has lived through in the past year, especially if they don't have to. In anticipation of Karen's last day of chemo, we had prepared these wristbands and we sent them to family and friends all over the world with the instruction, a very clear instruction that they were not to send the photos until Monday morning, which was that last day of chemo. And the goal was that Karen would feel sort of embraced by all these people who were on her team. The goal was just for her to feel really loved and supported in that moment.